If you know what it's like to have somebody's back, then you know what we're all about. This is Change Reaction Radio, the Change Reaction Radio podcast, 790 KABC. It's been an amazing hour so far talking about the Change Reaction and how their model of direct giving creates real impact. And it always brings up the question. We've been talking about so much loss and so many ways that people can just be right on the precipice of not having anything. So what would you do if you lost everything? Think about it. Like, would you know how to find the resources you need? Our next guests have gone through so much and have been able to get amazing support from organizations like the Change Reaction as they try to put the pieces of their life back together. Take a listen.
I want y'all to enjoy your new Genesis SUVs. Come on, come on, come on.
This is taking something that was from ashes to something
glorious,
something tangible.
And we're used to being the people who give and the people who help. The gratitude is so deep, I can't even express it.
With us now is Rasheed Ali and his wife, Gayle Nichols-Ali. Welcome to Change Reaction Radio.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Hey.
Great to have you here. Christina really was the one that put you on our radar. How did you guys all meet? Tell us that story.
One fateful day at A Sense of Home, one of our partner organizations, A Sense of Home, the Change Reaction has provided, I think, like 500 what they call home kits, which is essentially to furnish a home once fire survivors find somewhere to live post-fire. Because imagine losing everything and then now you have to find furniture. And, they supply everything from toiletries to the couch to the artwork on your wall. So I had the honor of meeting them at one of those events. You guys had met Glenn from the Change Reaction, who we've brought up in our first episode too, who's been instrumental in working with fire survivors on the ground. And it was such an honor to meet you guys. Everyone in the room that day, I was so touched by how palpable, like you guys were just so wise and you had this peaceful, calming energy despite everything you had been through. And it was just an honor to meet both of you.
Well, thank you. Likewise. It's always good to meet people who are givers, and your organization is all about giving. And I think one of the things that Gayle and I have experienced as having lost everything in the fire was that people would come at us and approach us and say, what can I do to help? And normally our first reaction to that is, oh, we're okay. We kind of put some distance between us and them. Other people, they don't ask you. They come up to you and they say, here, you need this. Those are the people who really help. Yeah. It's really difficult for people who went through what we went through to have to do the work. Because if you ask me, what can I do for you? Now you're asking me to do the work. You're asking me to formulate
another burden.
And process. And it's like another burden. Process, well, what do I need? But the people who really help, they just come at you. People like you and Glenn. Glenn came at me like, I'm going to give you this. And A Sense of Home was remarkable. We literally came back to this country and we turned the key on a place that our son had leased for a sight unseen. And then a few days later, it was filled with furniture and pictures. And it was amazing.
And then, as we just heard, there was a car giveaway.
Yes.
And that was through another person that the Change Reaction partnered with, Styx. And he's very influential, especially in Watts and the local community. And were you guys surprised when you showed up to that lot?
I was surprised and shocked because I had every intention of saying thank you, but no thank you. But I didn't know there was like a free car at the end of this. So
you thought it was a wellness event or something?
I thought it was a wellness event, which I was into, and that was cool because everything about that wellness event was about receiving and about being open and not blocking your blessings. And so I was into it because that's what I'm about. It's let's be open and let's receive our blessings as they come at us, especially since the disaster has happened. And so I was actually thinking, well, Glenn said it might be a lease. We don't really want a lease because we want to really kind of keep our finances low and slim as we try to rebuild our homes. We're going to be in for the long haul and debt, presumably. So the whole time we're thinking about how to nicely, graciously tell Glenn thank you, but like, no, thank you. So when they said, here's your car, I'm still thinking like, oh my gosh, are there papers I need to sign? Like, what are we going to do? Is there a credit check coming our way? So it was really amazing and a wonderful experience I'm still aghast. I mean, I go outside and look at the car and say, it's still here in the morning. Like no one's taken it away. It's still here.
Oh.
Incredible. Tell us a little bit about how your experience since the fires, right, of trying to figure it out. I think so many people, thousands of people, were in the same kind of position. I just want to hear a little bit from your perspective, like, how did you go about it? What, all the conversations that you would have to say, like beyond the immediate, hey, we need to get clothing and shelter, like the basic needs. But the rebuilding part, I think, is what's fascinating here.
We were unfortunately, out of the country, celebrating our 43rd wedding anniversary in the
Congratulations.
Bahamas. Thank you.
Thank you.
And so we were not physically here, but we were watching it unfold from a distance on television. And I think that we went totally into recovery mode. Like, what do we have to do when we get back? And we started making our lists. Like, okay, check, insurance company. Okay, well, what else do we need to do? And lots of our friends were emailing and texting us, hey, there's this thing happening with, the Artist Foundation doing that, and there's this thing happening. And so we went totally into recovery. Like, okay, what do we need to fill out? What do we need to do? What do we have? We don't have Social Security cards anymore. Okay, but I know I've got one here in my cloud account, so let's check that. And so we totally went into survival.
It sounds like, though, that you really had some great friends and connections within your community that also helped kind of guide the way forward for you. How important has that been for you in trying to put things back together, as leaning on your community?
I found, because, we're on the private Facebook group, Altadena Community Group. It's only for Altadena people. And I say that because it is insular. And there has been information that we can share amongst each other. And because of that, it was a resource. And the Pasadena Now online newspaper, a resource. So there were resources. Oddly enough, on that same page, if you even go visit that page now, there are people who say, what's going on? I don't know what's happening. So there are people who are not plugged in. Maybe we benefited from not being in the country because, like she said, we were on survival mode every single morning. We were scouring the internet for organizations, Music Care, Sweet Relief, you name it. And we applied to everything.
Unbelievable. I mean, it's just a tribute to your resourcefulness. But I think it also underscores, too, for a lot of people, like, it's not just about connecting with your neighbors after the fact. It's not about creating community in the middle of a disaster. It's about creating and maintaining community during the good times so that if something happens, you've got a network. You've got people that you can lean on or go forward with or maybe support yourself. And I want to go back to what you said, too, Rasheed. It was the thing where people came to you and said, this is what you need, as opposed to, what do you need and how can I help? How important is that for you as somebody on the receiving end to then kind of pay that forward, all the generosity and support that you've received from your community and from organizations like Change Reaction?
One of the first things that happened was a colleague of mine texted me and said, we're setting up a GoFundMe for you. I think that was the afternoon of the 8th. And I said, what are you talking about? I was still disconnected from that reality. She said, trust me, I've been through a fire before. Trust me. And I said, okay. And she did her thing. And those are the types of people that Rasheed and I are talking about, those people who they know what to do for you. They don't ask you. She didn't ask me, do you want me to do that? She just did it. And I think that how we've been kind of thinking about paying it forward is when we receive something and we're putting it out there on like the Altadena Buy Nothing page or the Survivors page, or we're trying to put it out there as well. We're trying to connect our community. The first thing we did was made a neighbor group text group so that we could all talk to each other and find out what's happening and share resources. And because we want our neighbors to rebuild. We like our neighbors. And Altadena is such a community where people would share oranges and even sandwiches. If you look at the history of our Buy Nothing page, they're that kind of a trusting community. So we wanted to make sure that we shared that.
Well, that's something that really struck me when I first met you both is in the midst of everything you've been going through and your family's going through. How many kids do you have?
Two
sons, right? Yeah, and they also were fire survivors. So you told me that because of what the Change Reaction has done for you, because of what happened with a sense of home where those needs and gaps were met, you were able to focus on paying it forward already. So as both artists, Rasheed, you're a very accomplished, internationally performing musician, and Gayle, you had your photography studio that was destroyed in the fire as well. And you guys are working to help other artists like yourselves in the midst of all this.
Yeah. We met on that same community page, altadenamusicians.org, and we started a conversation with Brandon J. I did because I was so jealous of all of the musicians that were exchanging equipment. Like, these musicians have it together. So I thought, I texted him and I said, hey, I want to know how I can help, how I can bring back photography equipment to our community. And he said, why don't you start something? And I said, okay. I jumped on it. And so I started Altadena, photographers.org. And so we're trying to bring photography equipment back to the community.
Amazing. Where can people find altadenaphotographers.org? Is it that's the website?
Altadenaphotographers.org.
Altadenaphotographers.org. Incredible.
And this morning someone challenged me and said, is it only for Altadena? And I said, well, you know what? Any fire survivor between the Palisades and Altadena, I'm willing to help everyone.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for coming in to Change Reaction Radio and sharing your story. Rasheed and Gayle, we know we can find altadenaphotographers.org online. Rasheed, where can folks find your music if they want to get a sample of what you're all about?
1968 soulpower.com.
Incredible. Thank you so much for coming by and sharing your story. We want to stay in touch and see how things continue to develop. We're so glad that the Change Reaction has been able to be a small part of helping you guys rebuild your life. We're grateful to have you here. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
What an incredible hour of conversation and stories. And if you're not inspired by that to get connected with your neighbors and with your community, I don't know what I can do for you other than to invite you to listen to another episode. We'll be back next week. For Wade Trimmer, thank you, brother, for being here for this incredible hour. My co-host, Christina Pascucci.
It was fun.
This is Change Reaction Radio. You can find us online on Instagram at Change Reaction. You can find us on YouTube also at changereaction.org. You're listening to Change Reaction Radio, the Change Reaction Radio podcast. My name's Matt West, 790 KABC.